where travel the world one country at a time. No passport required, just your curiosity. Today we are heading to a small peninsula that just into Arabian Gulf, a nation that has gone from pearl diving outpost to global powerhouse to the span of a single generation. I'm thinking, of course, about the state of Qatar. If you only knew Qatar from the 2022 FIFA World Cup headlines, you have only scratched the surface. This country is roughly 2.9 million people, though only about 12% are Qatari citizens, is a fascinating study in contradiction. Ancient Buddhist traditions operating alongside hypermodern skyscrapers, conservative Islamic values coexisting in one of the most open media environments in the Middle East. So let's start with the basics. Where exactly is Qatar? Look at the map of the Arabian Peninsula, find Saudi Arabia, then look east toward Iran. Qatar is the thumb-shaped peninsula that stretches about 160 kilometers, roughly 100 miles north to the Persian Gulf. It shares its only a land border with the Saudi Arabia to the south, while the Gulf separate from Bahrain to the west and the United Arab Emirates to the southeast. Qatar's total area is about 11,600 square kilometers or 4,500 square miles. To put in perspective, it is slightly smaller than the state of Connecticut or about half size of Wales. Yet this tiny nation has an outsized influence on global energy markets, international diplomacy, and even sports. Size, as they say, is not everything. The landscape is what geographers call lying arid desert plain. There are no forests, no rivers, no permanent lakes. The highest point in the country is something called Korean Abdul Al Bol, which rises to a breathtaking 103 meters, that is 338 feet. For context, that is shorter than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Qatar is flat, sandy, and sun scorched. The scorched it is. Qatar has desert climate with two main seasons: a brutally hot summer from May to September and a mild winter from December to February. Summer temperature regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius, that is 113 degrees Fahrenheit, and humidity can make it feel like walking through a wet blanket. Winter may be contrast is glorious blue skies and temperatures around 22 degrees Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit. Rainfall is scarce, averaging only about 75 millimeters, 3 inches per year. Some years it rains only hour or five times. When that's rain, it often intends a sudden, causing flash floods that overwhelm the dry wadis on or riverbeds. Qataris have a saying, rain in the desert is a gift from God, and they mean it. Now, before the discovery of oil and gas, life in Qatar looked like very different. For centuries, the economy revolved around three things: pearling, fishing, and nomadic heading or herding. Qatari men would spend months at sea on wooden dhows diving for pearls in the Gulf's warm waters. That profession was brutal. Divers would pinch their noses shut with tortoise shells clips and descend without oxygen, risking drowning and ruptured eardrums. The pearling industry collapsed in the 1930s not because of oil but because of the Japanese cultured pearl. Suddenly, natural pearls from the Gulf were worthless. Qatar plunges into poverty and hunger. And then just things look desperate. Geologists found something underground that would change everything: oil. Oil was discovered in 1939, but the World War II delayed production. It was just until 1949 that the first tanker left Qatar shores. The Black Gold transformed a sleepy collection of fishing villages into a modern state. But oil, as it turned out, was just opening act. The real game changes was a natural gas. Beneath of the waters of Qatar northeast coast lies of the North Field, the largest single natural gas reservoir in the world. It spans an area of roughly the size of Qatar itself and contains an estimated 900 trillion cubic feet of gas. To put the number in perspective, that is enough to supply the entire United States for every or for over 30 years. Qatar is essentially sitting on an ocean of invisible fuel. Today, Qatar is the world's largest exporter of liquefied natural gas or LNG. They have perfected the technology of supercooling gas into minus 162 degrees Celsius, turning it into a liquid that can be shipped across oceans on specialized tankers. The gas hits homes in London, runs power plants in South Korea, and fuels industry in India. Without Qatar, millions would freeze. That wealth was translated into one of the highest GDP per capita on the planet. Depending on the year, Qatar frequently ranks first or second, with per capita income over exceeding $80,000. But what numbers is misleading because it includes all residents. If you look only at Qatari citizens, the figure is even higher. Some estimated put it above $150,000 per citizen. So, what does the countries do with the kind of money? If you're a Qatar, you build a capital city called Doha that looks like a futuristic fever dream. The skyline is dominated by Doha Tower, the Tornado Tower, and the Spire Tower. But the most fabulous silhouette belongs to the Museum of Islamic Art, designed by legendary architect IMP, who came out for the retirement specifically for this project. And then there's a Pearl, an artificial island spanning nearly 4 square kilometers. It was built on a former pearl diving site, hence the name. The Pearl is a man made archipelago of Mediterranean style marinas, luxury apartments, and high end boutiques. It also has the stark reminder of how dramatically Qatar has transformed from harvesting pearls to building islands shaped like pearls. But Qatar's most ambitious architectural project is arguably Lusail City, a brand new metropolis built from scratch north of Doha. Lusail cost estimated $45 billion and was designed to host the FIFA World Cup final in 2022. It has its own metro system, a golf course, and a marina for super yachts. The cat, most of Lucille remains empty, a gleaming ghost town waiting for residents to arrive. Speaking of the World Cup, the 2020 tournament was most expensive in history. Qatar spent over 220 billion on preparations and more than all previous World Cup combined. They built seven new stadiums, a new airport, a new metro system, and dozens of new hotels. The most striking revenues is the stadium's 974, made from 974 shipping containers and designed to be completely dismantled after the tournament. The World Cup has also Qatar under uncomfortable spotlight. International critics raised serious concerns about human rights, particularly the treatment of migrant workers who build infrastructures. Report documented thousands of deaths among low-wage laborers from South Asia, though the exact numbers remain disputed. Qatar reportedly and responded by reforming its kafala labor system, which is a tied worker to their employers. But activists say more change is needed. Let's talk about politics. Qatar's entire meaning is ruled by emir from Al Fahani family, who have been in power since the mid 1800s. The current emir is Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who took over in 2013 after his father voluntarily stepped down, a rarity in region known for rulers dying in office. His young educated in the United Kingdom has pushed for curious modernization. One of the Qatar's most controversial political moves has been its foreign policy in a small state, big influence. Qatar maintains friendly ties both the United States, which has the largest Middle Eastern military base at Al Udeid, and Iran, which shares Northfield gas reservoir. This balancing act is infiltrated neighbors like Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. In 2017, the anger boiled over Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt imposed land, sea, and air blockade on Qatar, accusing for supporting terrorism and getting too close to Iran. The blockade lasted 3.5 years, but Qatar survived and even thrived by rerouting trade through Iran, Turkey, and by accelerating domestic food productions. Today, the blockade is over, the wounds remain. Now let's talk about Al Jazeera. You must also have certainly heard of it. The satellite news network was launched by Qatari's government in 1996 and quickly became the most controversial media outlet in the Middle East. It gave a platform for opposition voices, broadcast unsecure debates, and famously aired Osama bin Laden tapes after 9/11. Al Jazeera is Qatar's superpower, a tiny country with a massive megaphone. Culturally, Qatar is fascinating blend of ultra-modern and deeply traditional. The national dress for men is the tobe, and long white robe is particularly for the heat, often paired with a gutra, head scarf held in place by a black agal cord. Women typically wear the abaya, which is closed black cloak, through many also wear Western clothing in private or mixed settings. Modesty is still the norm. The national language is Arabic, specifically Gulf Arabic, but English is widely spoken, especially business and among the expatriate community. In fact, English is so common that many of the Qataris speak Arabic with English loanwords mixed in. Road signs, restaurant menus, official documents are almost always bilingual. You could live in Doha for years without learning Arabic, though you would miss a lot. What do Qataris eat? The national dish is makbous, a fragrant one pot meal with spiced rice with meat, usually chicken, lamb, or camel. Slow cook with dried limes, saffron, and rose water. Another staple is haris, a porridge of wheat and meat cooked in hours until it becomes smooth paste. And for breakfast, many eat balalit, sweet saffron noodles topped with savory omelette. Yes, noodles for breakfast. Do not knock it until you try it. Coffee culture is serious. Qatari hospitality demands that quest for serve gawa, a traditional Arabic coffee flavored with cardamom, and saffron. It is poured from a special coffee pot called dala into tiny cups without hurdles. The etiquette is precise. You shake the cup gently when you have had enough, and you never fill your own cup. To refuse coffee is to refuse friendship. Religion in central to life, and of course, Islam is the state religion, and the vast majority of Qataris is Sunni Muslims following the Hanbali school of law. The call of prayers echoes across Doha 5 times a day, and during Ramadan, the entire country slows down. Restaurants close during daylight hours, work hours shrink, and the night come alive with feasting and prayer. Non Muslims are free to practice their faith, but proselytizing is illegal. One of the most striking sights in Doha is the Fanar Qatar Islamic Cultural Center, known locally as the Spiral Mosque. Its distinctive minaret twists upward like a snail shell. It is a houses, a library, classroom, and a rooftop restaurant. The center actively invites non-Muslim to learn about Islam, offering free hours, Arabic lessons, and even traditional meals. It's soft power and it's most literal. Let's talk about the nature. What's a little there is Qatar has a several protected areas, most famous of being the Khor Al Adid Inland Sea, also known as the Sea of Sand. This is one of the only handful of places on Earth where the sea flows deep in the desert, creating a surreal landscape and tidal flats and rolling dunes. UNESCO has designed and designated its natural reserve and is a favorite spot for dune bashing. Wildlife in Qatar is adapted to extremes. The Arabian, a beautiful white antelope with long straight horns with hunted extinction in the wild by 1970s. But Qatar participated on captivate breeding program and today has been reintroduced and thrives in reserves. It also been national animal of Qatar. You will also see its silhouette everywhere from government logos to hotel lobbies. The waters of Gulf support sea turtles, dugongs with related to manatees, a dozens of species of fish. However, rapid coastal development and desalination plants have stressed marine ecosystems. Qatar gets almost all its drinking water from the sea using enormous amounts of energy and remove salt. That process also release hot, salty brine back into the Gulf, harming coral reef and seagrass beds. One of the most ambitious environment projects in the world is underway in Qatar, the Al Qurash solar power plant. When fully operational, it will cover area of 10 square kilometers with over 1.8 million solar panels producing enough electricity power tens of thousands of homes. Qatar has realized that natural gas, while cleaner than oil, is still a fossil fuel. The sun, however, is endless. Education is a national obsession, and Qatar has built education cities, sprawling campus that host branch campuses of 6 American universities, including Carnegie Mellon, Georgetown, and Texas A&M. All expenses are paid for Qatari students who can earn the same degrees as the students in the United States without ever leaving the country. The goal is wean the economy of gas and build knowledge society. The Qatar National Vision 2030 is the country's blueprint for the future. It has a four pillars: human development and social development, economic development, and environmental development. The vision is deliberately ambitious, transform Qatar into advanced, sustainable society that no longer depends on fossil fuels. Whether they are succeed is a great question of the next decade. Transportation has improved dramatically. The Doha Metro, which is opened in 2019, is one of the most advanced driverless system in the world. Trains are silent, spotless, and air conditioned. They are a gold class cars, whether seats a family car from women and children. A single ride costs less than $1 compared to the days when travel meant by bumpy though ride in the camel track. Ahmed International Airport is another point of pride. It was named the world's best airport by Skytrax in 2021 and 2022. It features an indoor tropical garden, a swimming pool, a gym, and a museum quality art collection featuring a giant bronze teddy bear by the Ulf Fisher. Qatar Airways national carrier flies us over 160 destinations and is consistently rated among the top airlines globally. Sports beyond soccer are booming. Qatar will host 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup and the 2030 Asian Games. It is an annual ATP tennis tournament and a MotoGP race and a golf event, European Tour. The Aspire Academy, or Academy, a state of the training facility, has produced Olympic medalists in high jump and sprinting. Qatar is buying its way onto the global sports stage and it's working. But challenges remain. Qatar's population is widely imbalanced. Men outnumber women nearly 3 to 1, and the foreign workers made up almost 90% of the population. This creates a society where Qataris are privileged minority in their own country. Social tensions simmer beneath the surface, and citizenship is almost impossible to obtain. You can live in Doha for 40 years, you pay taxes, raise children, and still be a permanent guest. Climate change poses the existential threat. Qatar is low lying, hot, and dependent on desalination. Rising sea level could flood Doha's coastline. Rising temperature could make summer outdoor work impossible, even at night. Qatar has applied to host carbon neutral World Cup and invest in renewables, but scale of the problem dwarfed by a single country's effort. So where does that leave us? Qatar is a nation of superlative contradictions. The richest country you barely know, the desert that built winter wonderland, a conservative monarchy that funds Al Jazeera, and a tiny peninsula that casts a very long shadow. It's not a place that invites a simple judgment. It is like all countries, a work in progress. But what the strange, shimmering, audacious work it is. Thank you for joining me, and this is the Light of Geography 101. Again, I'm Daniel Lucas. Qatar may be small on the map, but as we have seen, its story is enormous. Woven of pearls and pipelines, stadium and sand dunes, tradition and turbocharged ambition. Next time you see the news headline about Doha or hear Qatar Airways commercial, you will know the geography behind the name. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and share with the other geography lover. And remember, our country has a story. You just have to be curious enough to listen. Markham people, see you soon.